A beautiful nun searches for the meaning of life in a secluded convent, but soon finds herself at the center of a miracle that may not be entirely divine. Sister Mary kneels in prayer in front of an image of Mother Mary, then removes her habit and shifts the portrait to hide writing on the wall. She quietly sneaks into the Mother Superior's quarters to steal the keys. Moments later, Mary rushes out of the main doors and sprints to the locked gate as the convent's lights flip on and figures begin to converge on her. She frantically fumbles with the keys, attempting to escape, but the chained gate refuses to open wide enough. Desperate, Mary squeezes through the narrow gap, only to be grabbed by one of the cloaked figures who yanks her leg, trapping and injuring her between the bars. Later, in the darkness of night, Mary lights a match and realizes she's trapped inside a wooden box that won't open. She has been buried alive. She screams for help, but no one comes. Sometime after, Cecilia sits in a customs office while an officer inspects her luggage. Another staffer notes that Cecilia does not have a return ticket from the convent that sent her. They comment that she doesn't yet speak Italian and lightly tease that she's wasting her looks in a convent. One asks if choosing a nun's life was difficult, but Cecilia disagrees. With her answers accepted, the officer stamps her documents. Enzo, a man sent from the convent, picks her up outside the office and drives her out of the city to the remote convent of Our Lady of Sorrows. Once inside, Mother Superior greets Cecilia warmly in Italian. Cecilia looks confused until Sister Isabel translates. Mother Superior instructs Isabel to show Cecilia to her room, but Isabel protests. She has responsibilities helping prepare for that night's celebration. Mother Superior rebukes her, leaving Isabel no choice but to comply. On the way to Cecilia's room, Isabel explains the convent is built over St. Stephen's catacomb, serving as a hospice for elderly nuns. Cecilia is intrigued about the catacomb, but Isabel firmly states it's off limits. Passing through the dining hall, Isabel points out a nun suffering from a terminal tumor, expected to pass away soon. Cecilia is struck by how casually death is discussed. Isabel explains it's common in the convent. A confused, elderly nun grabs Isabel asking for her father. Isabel calmly leads her away, advising Cecilia to indulge the elderly's delusions when necessary. She then brings Cecilia to her spacious room. Cecilia expresses how honored she feels to serve, which Isabel finds endearing but warns is impractical for their tough life. Isabel tells Cecilia she can still change her mind and leave, but Cecilia insists she wants to stay, causing Isabel to simply leave, a bit surprised by her resolve. Later, as Cecilia uses the bathroom, she meets Sister Gwen, a fellow novice who strolls into smoke. They swap stories about their previous convent experiences, with Cecilia revealing her parish closed because of poor attendance. She was recruited by Father Tedeschi. Gwen remarks that Father Tedeschi has a knack for finding troubled souls and runaways. Curious, Cecilia asks Gwen which group she belongs to, and Gwen replies she's both a misfit and a runaway. That evening, Cecilia joins her fellow novices in a candlelit procession down the aisle. Father Sal Tedeschi greets Cecilia, meeting her in person for the first time since recruiting her. The nuns gather as Cardinal Franco Merola begins the ceremony, formally welcoming them and announcing their commitment and marriage to God. Sal translates the vows for Cecilia, and she smiles at him. When the cardinal offers his ring, Cecilia hesitates, but ultimately kisses it. After, the convent shares a communal dinner. Father Sal tells Cecilia that he once lived as a man of science until faith changed his path. He asks about her past, and Cecilia reveals that at age 13, she was revived by paramedics after being dead for 7 minutes from falling into a frozen lake. She believes she was saved for a purpose, though she's still searching for what that might be. Excusing herself, Cecilia heads to the bathroom, where she hears prayerful sobbing. Following the sound, she finds a woman in a red mask lost in ecstatic prayer beneath the altar. Cecilia is startled, but Mother Superior assures her the nun is simply praying. From the altar, Mother Superior takes a gnarled nail, reminding Cecilia that suffering is love, and hints the nail is one from Christ's crucifixion. Cecilia is soon overwhelmed by whispers in her mind and faints. The next morning, Cecilia confesses she fainted after too much wine, shamed before Mother Superior. The priest in the confessional doesn't answer, but simply fades away into shadow. Confused, Cecilia peers through the screen, when suddenly, hands grab her from behind. She's slammed onto a bed by 4 looming nuns in red masks who stab her with a dagger. Cecilia wakes. It was a nightmare. Catching her breath, she sees Mother Superior standing silently in the doorway, but when she turns on the lamp, the figure vanishes. After breakfast, Mother Superior lectures the novices. Cecilia, still new to Italian, asks Gwen what's going on. Gwen jokes about the wine, making both of them laugh, but Mother Superior scolds them for it. Isabel is then assigned to mentor Gwen, Cecilia, and the others. Over the following days, Isabel instructs them on their duties, caring for the bedridden nuns under Dr. Gallo, doing laundry, and tending livestock. Despite the hard work, Gwen and Cecilia grow close as friends. One day, while hanging sheets, Cecilia notices Isabel glaring at her, then disappearing. That night, Cecilia awakens to an elderly nun cutting her hair. Instead of being angry, Cecilia gently leads the woman back to bed and tucks her in. There, she's shocked to find strange cross-shaped marks branded on the woman's feet. Next day, Cecilia tells Gwen about her eerie night. Gwen shrugs, saying it's better than her last convent, where a boy tormented her. She joined nuns for their stability regardless of faith. Suddenly, Cecilia feels ill and is sent to see the doctor. While waiting for her test results, Cecilia sees a red-masked nun outside. A crow smashes into the window in front of her, startling her. Mother Superior then arrives and calls Cecilia away, but she first checks on the dead bird before following her. Cecilia is brought before Dr. Gallo, Cardinal Franco, Father Sal, and Mother Superior, who begin questioning her about relations with men. Cecilia firmly denies any such event, and Dr. Gallo confirms she was examined upon arrival and found intact. Mother Superior notes a lack of recent visitors and files away a red envelope. Scared, Cecilia wants answers. Isabel soon arrives with an ultrasound scanner. During the exam, they all see that Cecilia is pregnant. Cardinal Franco triumphantly declares the pregnancy is miraculous, her child conceived without sin. Though the convent treats this as a joyous miracle, Cecilia is deeply distressed, staring at the ultrasound with tearful confusion. Later, Cecilia tearfully asks Sal why she was chosen for this miracle. He tells her to remember her search for meaning and reminds her that God blesses the meek, who shall inherit the earth. Soon after, Cecilia is honored as a miracle before the altar, clothed like a saint and serenaded by the nuns. Despite all the praise, Cecilia is filled only with sorrow and uncertainty, bewildered by all that's happened. Months later, Cecilia suffers from morning sickness so severe she even loses a tooth. When she goes to the dining hall, all the nuns except Gwen rise to greet her, but Cecilia chooses to sit with Gwen, though the gap between them is clear as Mother Superior presents Cecilia with a tray of special food, stressing that her only duty now is to nourish her child. Gwen cracks a bitter joke about them soon naming Cecilia Mary. Later, as Cecilia relaxes in the convent's bathing pool, Isabel suddenly attacks, trying to drown her while yelling that she should have been the one chosen for the miracle. Other nuns rush in and pull Isabel away as she screams that they have to try again with her. Following the attack, Cecilia visits Dr. Gallo, who confirms her baby is healthy, but Cecilia is rattled by Isabel's words. Father Sal shrugs it off, calling Isabel mentally ill and reassuring Cecilia it won't happen again. Still distressed, Cecilia asks to see a real hospital doctor, but is discouraged by the nuns, who warn that word of her miraculous pregnancy could leak. Father Sal urges her to stay until the child is born. Soon after, Cecilia witnesses Isabel fall from the roof, her face mutilated. At Isabel's funeral, Gwen quietly voices her suspicions, pointing out the oddity of Cecilia's pregnancy and lack of medical care. Their talk is interrupted by Father Sal. Gwen then openly calls out the nuns and superiors for letting things slide and accuses them of manipulation. Enraged staff drag Gwen away as Cecilia looks on, helpless. At night, Cecilia reflects on Gwen's accusations when a chain on the Mother Mary portrait snaps. Behind it, she discovers a hidden Bible verse about Satan appearing as an angel of light. Cecilia hurries to Gwen's room to share her discovery, but finds it empty. She sneaks into the main office to retrieve the red envelope Mother Superior hid months earlier, finding articles on her own accident and DNA. Suddenly, distant cries lead her to a chamber where Cecilia sees red-masked nuns cutting out Gwen's tongue. Horrified, she tries to escape but is grabbed by the delusional nun, who hands her an effigy made from Cecilia's own hair and calls her blessed. Cecilia begs for help escaping, but the nun only whispers she'll never leave the convent. The next morning, Cecilia wakes up to find her womb bleeding. With Dr. Gallo away, Sal and Enzo rush her to the hospital. Mother Superior prays over the bloody sheets and discovers a beheaded chicken hidden beneath the bed. During the ride, Sal gets a call that leads him to realize Cecilia faked her condition. He orders the car to stop. Terrified, Cecilia bolts into the fields, but Sal and Enzo catch up and restrain her. That afternoon, Mother Superior forcefully scrubs Cecilia clean, demanding answers for her actions. Cecilia insists God won't forgive them for this crime, earning a slap. Later, she's strapped to a wheelchair and placed before the altar. Father Sal, gloved, apologizes for frightening her. He presents the ancient nail, telling her they used it to find the genetic code of the Messiah and create the key to resurrection. Cecilia accuses him of madness. He wheels her down to a chamber with jars full of failed attempts and explains their 2-decade-long pursuit to resurrect Christ. Believing Cecilia is the ideal vessel. Refusing, Cecilia is branded with a cross on her feet and locked in her room, where she breaks down. By her 3rd trimester, during confession with Cardinal Franco, she asks when they targeted her and what fate awaits after the baby's birth. He refuses to answer, only stating if this isn't God's work, then why does God not stop them? Later, Dr. Gallo examines the baby via ultrasound with Mother Superior. When he leaves for medicine, Cecilia notices the door isn't fully closed. While Mother Superior is distracted, praising the child as a savior, Cecilia grabs a metal cross and kills her with it. Attempting to escape, her water breaks, but she presses on. Elsewhere, Cardinal Franco watches the nuns sing. Cecilia sneaks up and strangles him with a rosary until he dies, witnessed by Dr. Gallo, who flees. Cecilia takes Franco's lighter and keys, running for her life. She reaches the chapel, pauses to grab the ancient nail, then moves to Sal's lab. Dousing the lab with alcohol, she confronts Sal, who pleads that she only needs to deliver the Savior. As contractions worsen, he tries to grab her lighter, but Cecilia smashes a glass over his head, locks him in the lab, and escapes. Sal manages to grab Cecilia's hair through the metal grates, pulling her toward the door. In a desperate move, Cecilia lights the lighter and drops it at the threshold, setting both Sal and the lab ablaze. However, moments later, Cecilia hears the hiss of a fire extinguisher. Sal is still alive, and he slams into the flaming door until it bursts open. Taking her chance, Cecilia flees into the network of catacombs beneath the convent. She races through the twisting tunnels with Sal pursuing her, lantern in hand. Eventually, panicked and out of breath, Cecilia finds an empty chamber and slips inside to hide. While struggling through her pain and contractions, she tries to keep quiet as Sal passes by. When he's gone, she switches on her flashlight, only to come face to face with the mangled corpse of Gwen beside her. Horrified, Cecilia staggers away, with her labor intensifying. She finally stumbles upon a hole that appears to lead outside. Just as she starts to crawl through, Sal, burned and furious, catches up and drags her back. He pins her to the ground, begins praying, and rips open her dress to expose her belly. Producing a scalpel, he starts to cut into her as Cecilia screams in pain. Summoning her last strength, she grabs the ancient nail hidden in her pocket and stabs Sal in the neck, finally killing him. Smeared in blood and exhausted, Cecilia finally escapes the catacombs, crawling out into the open air just beyond the convent's walls. She props herself against the stone wall, screaming as she gives birth in agony. The newborn emerges, and Cecilia, trembling and in shock, can only stare at the bloody creature before her, a product of all the horror inflicted by the convent. Seeing what has come from so much pain and suffering, visited upon the innocent and the faithful, Cecilia takes a large rock and, as her final act, ends the life of the gurgling child, closing the dark story of the so-called Messiah.